us to learn, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I hope this is going to be a first of many of our fireside chats. And
we definitely do need to bring a few chunks of meat to
think so.
To barbecue, or braai is the South African term, one evening. So we'll have a bit of a cooking show on the side.
We could do that. try and multitask.
Yeah.
And chat.
I think we could handle it.
Bobby. Okay, what? Hello, Bobby. I don't know where Bobby's from. Hello, Bobby. Because I know a couple of Bobbies come to mind with I's and Y's. What is experience for me is or you, because I think we've got to throw those out to both of us.
Yeah.
The biggest adrenaline rush.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, well, I suppose for me, undoubtedly when I was underneath an elephant, but that, you know, it's hard to beat that. It's not that it's a competition, but for me, in my own experience, I've been charged by many ellies and I've had all sorts of close encounters on my Land Rover and things, but being underneath that elephant once in Tanzania, that was...
How did you end up underneath it? If you don't mind me asking.
She knocked me over. But that's another fireside chat story.
That's you're going to need a 3-hour fireside chat for that story.
I'm going to keep new viewers hanging and old viewers know what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's why
never
viewers
realized...
have to keep watching, because it's not a one-time TV show. This is ongoing. We're a soap opera.
Even for me now I'm waiting to hear the story, because I've yet to hear the story, folks, and obviously it's an interesting one, but we will get it out of him at some stage.
Okay, well, you can wait as long as they wait.
Yeah, well, we're both in the same boat, for those of you who don't know the story. But interesting that Marc has ended up in what sounds like some form of an arm wrestle with an elephant. I'm glad you're still here.
Me too.
After that.
And my mom and, my family. And a few women.
But I think it's fair to say, Marc, as a general answer to adrenaline rushes, on foot is when you're most likely to get your highest dose of adrenaline.
Undoubtedly.
It doesn't matter what the situation is, when you're on foot, you really do fear
and
greatly when things do go wrong.
I've got to sort of interject there a little bit as well, because we both experienced a little bit of a different on foot in other parts of Africa that make places like the Sabi Sand look a little, I wouldn't say tame, because I don't like the word tame,
no.
But it does make the Sabi Sand look, or even Kruger, well, I can't say the whole of Kruger, because I know there's some walking trails up on the Olifants River, and there's some areas in Kruger that are phenomenal, but it kind of makes this area and all the lodges and doing a walk from here, it's like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Compared to parts of East Africa and walking with wild, it's different. It's different that maybe in
areas where animals are exposed to less humans. Yeah, there's a high density of roads, which for game viewing is incredible.
That's true.
So from a game viewing perspective, the Sabi Sands is incredible.
Yeah. But, you couldn't get better than where we are right now.
But it obviously does have an impact on the animals, and they become more used to humans, whereas there are some remote locations in Africa where walking is that much more wilder, because the animals are just less exposed to us, I guess.
Or if they've ever been exposed to humans, it's been on the sort of the negative side of humans, and that's either hunting or poaching, which tends to, thanks. I was just looking at that. Thanks, Scott.
Sorry, man, am I slacking here?
No, we're just talking. We're lucky we don't have any meat tonight, because we'd be here all night. But, Scott's got a question.
Okay. Just gonna have a little scan behind us here, see if there's any visitors.
Oh, there were guinea fowl going mad, but the impala went when it was getting dark before you arrived. So I think it might have been eagles again, African hawk eagles probably. Question for Scott. Your most, I don't know, I can't remember the adjective, encounter with a snake, unnerving or...
Okay, well, I've got one story that comes to mind.
Interaction, that's what it is. Interesting interaction.
Well, there's one that comes to mind, and don't know why this one's come to mind in specific, because there's a handful. But one interesting story was when I was working in the Sabi Sands at a lodge not far from here a few years ago. There had been some lions seen in a riverbed not far from the camp, and I knew that from the morning that there was a large herd of buffalo heading straight towards where these lions were in the river. So I had planned with my guests to head out a little bit earlier than usual, I think half an hour, in order to try and get into the right position and be there waiting for some potential action to unfold. So I had got to the main deck overlooking this big sandy riverbed, and I was waiting for the guests, and I could hear the lion vocalizing and the buffalo bellowing. These lions were in all likelihood on a buffalo, and now it was letting off its distress call. So I called through to the guest room and told them to hurry up because we needed to get going even sooner than our pre-planned time. And when the one lady, I think, was running towards the vehicle, she fell over and hurt her hip. So then I went to the room to go and check on her hip and everything and just calm down the situation. And her son then came into the room, had seen her fall, and then just gone to let the dad know that her mom had fallen down. Sorry, I'm rambling on you, but it's all part of the story. And the son had gone to tell the father that his mom had taken a bit of a tumble, and not the end of the world, but this is what the current plan was, that we were just waiting in the room, waiting for the medic to come and have a look. And the son came back into the room to just tell me everything was okay, and he was like, I've just seen a snake outside. So I ran outside, the mother was okay, now on the bed, stable, and the son came and pointed to me where he had seen the snake. Now the entrance to these suites or rooms were lined with flat rocks on top of one another, so stacked up to create a wall, and there were lots of crevices in amongst these rocks that snakes, we knew, loved to hide in, and sometimes would use those crevices and cracks to shed their skin. And the son pointed to me which hole the snake went into, and thankfully I knew that Mozambican spitting cobras tend to like infrastructure and are often found around camps, so the fact that I knew it could be a Mozambican spitting cobra prevented me from bending down and looking into this hole. So what I did was I simply put my shoe close to the hole and waved it from side to side, and then lifted up my boot just to check, and lo and behold, the underneath of my boot was covered in venom from its spitting. So that was quite an interesting, unnerving event.
So listen, don't look into holes, don't.
Yeah, exactly, and a good lesson. So that was an interesting snake encounter for me. Been bitten a handful of times, thankfully all by non-venomous or slightly venomous snakes. So there's lots of snake stories, but that one is one that comes to mind that was quite interesting and unnerving to think that if I had have put my head down there, I would have had a face full of Mozambican spitting cobra venom to deal with, which thankfully isn't that bad if one does spit at you.
Sorry, I've had venom in my heart. It's not pleasant.
But you weren't in hospital, were you?
No.
Yeah, so
a friend of mine died from Mozambique spitting cobra.
A bite, though?
No. He sucked venom and he had ulcers in his mouth or something.
Oh, no.
But anyways, it sounds like you also had a childhood with snakes. Then.
I did. Just like you said, growing up you had a menagerie.
Yeah.
My folks were put through the same admin as yours, I guess. I had aviaries full of birds and tanks full of snakes and fish and hamsters and rats and everything that I could get my hands on. So growing up with pets and little animals to look after was certainly something I loved.
So you also, I suppose, in the early grinding, you saw a snake and it was going into catch mode.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I'm hoping you've evolved like I have.
I have.
Nowadays, it's better to watch them.
It is. Certainly.
Wonderful. Kindred spirits, no doubt. That's quite clear. Or parallel paths of education, self-education.
Yeah.
I think is what we could call it. Hopefully we'll be able to see. It's not very easy to see snakes from the vehicle because the vehicle is fairly big and it makes a noise, and one very seldom sees them. Often we might just see the tail disappearing, and there are times when you're driving around and you see a lot of snake tracks on the road. You know there's possibly storms coming because they do do tend to move a lot just before.
Yeah.
The atmospheric pressure changes before storms come in. You often get a lot of reptile movement. So I'm hoping it extends to other reptiles, not only just snakes.
No, not only snakes. We've seen quite a few good lizards around. Saw a rock monitor the other day, not far from here, but sadly only managed to give the guest a little glimpse of its tail slithering into a log. But there's also a blue-headed triogama on the Torchwood at Ballinati's Rebecca's,
right, yes.
which is a beauty to keep an eye out for. So,
yeah. Just the last question, Alex, you're going to have to whisper in my ear who this was, but why do we think that walking is better than vehicle safari? It's just a simple thing. You're immersed in it.
Yes. And
Tom, thanks, Tom. Why is walking better than vehicle? Because in a vehicle, I'm making a noise on the microphone. Sorry. Yeah. Walking is you're just immersed in it. To stand with even just a giraffe or even just standing in the bush.
Yeah, you're in true wilderness, out of your comfort zone, behaving how you should behave.
Or how we did
in their place.
A million years ago.
Yeah.
14,000 years ago, before we started farming and agriculture. And we were part of nature. And I suppose over the last 10,000 years, we've advanced so far that so many of us on the planet are actually wary of nature. We're so far removed from it. And being in a vehicle, you still got that umbilical cord to technology and everything else.
100%.
But when you're standing and when you're out walking in the bush and for me, I don't have a rifle, and often I'm without a rifle, and not often, I don't have a rifle. When I'm at home, I walk around. I've been walking around that area for 40 years. So I'm not complacent, but there's a feeling of being in one with that primal feeling of being part of nature that we've lost as modern human beings.
Yeah.
So we've got just a couple of minutes to sort of maybe close off by saying from my side, I'll let Scott close off, but from me, it's been wonderful being back this week. I hope we're going to get the jigger sorted out, and soon we'll have the 2 vehicles out and we'll be exploring a little bit further. We're going to be back here next Sunday night with maybe some more tales and stories and hopefully more questions. But do keep the questions coming on the drives. Hopefully we'll be able to teach you a few things and you'll be able to answer some of our queries, because we can only learn from you as much as you learn from us.
100%. Yes, folks, also a big thank you from me. This has been my first fireside chat or campfire chat with WildEarth, and good to be alongside Marc, and
good to have you too.
And also Brian and Jason who are helping on camera and behind the scenes, and Alex in control. Everyone in the team here is really doing a great job, and I'm proud to be a part of this team and loving every step of the adventure so far. For the next few days, I'm going to be gone. I've got a wedding to attend in Cape Town, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a little change of scenery. So I will see you towards the end of the week. You're in very good hands with Marc and Alex and the rest of the team. So thank you from me, and we'll see you later next week.
Bye, everybody.
Hold on, Marc.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, this can give us time to stare into the flames.
Bye, everyone. See you on the drive tomorrow morning. My timing's out. That's fine. Bye. Okay, bye. See you tomorrow morning drive. Yes, the morning drive, 6 o'clock Central African time. And I'll see you then. Hopefully we'll find something wonderful.
Well, they didn't answer my question. Figures, huh? Oh, it's shown Pittsburgh. Right there, look at showing Pittsburgh. It has 4 teams up there.
Yeah.
Who we playing? I can't tell who it is.
The Atlanta Falcons, honey.
Oh, that's right. See, I just forgot that quick.
Yeah, that's okay. They do too.
That's short-term memory loss, honey. Can't help it.